stepping back and stroking two. Bogdanovich thinking about a three. There it is. Yes!
See it again. No double team help, and Embiid takes it right to the rack.
Embiid, step back, jumper,
There he is again. The Euro step there. Embiid getting Gobert to fight.
What's going on, everybody? It's a Monday. Is 4:45 considered evening or afternoon? I think it's late afternoon.
I'll say late afternoon. I can agree with that one.
I think 5 p.m. is when you're broaching evening.
Yep.
And anything after, so like we're in the. I don't even know what twilight means, but I guess we're in twilight of late afternoon, early evening.
So yeah, I can agree with that.
All right. So we have a lot to discuss today. The Sixers have had the draft. Free agency ticks off in an hour and 13 minutes. Now, I want to be a little bit careful with how I say it starts, because technically you can't put any pen to paper until Friday. But we have the moratorium period from now until Friday, and then the contracts can be signed, and then you kind of go off to the end of the summer. So a lot of verbal agreements are going to be coming out in the near future. We'll dive into the draft and rookie stuff first. Sixers take Jaden Springer, the 28th pick in the draft. First, Kai, you know what? Forgot to even say this. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I just got back from another hoop session because it's what I do. On the side, I'm like, I'm gonna try out for the G League one year. I think you're gonna start covering me right at some point.
I think I would die if I had to cover you. I think I would be like embarrassed for my own self.
Delaware Blue Coast guard Kai Carlin.
I'd be like, I had to interview this motherfucker. God damn it.
So Kai, what happened tonight? I get bugged, bro.
I feel like contact you through PR to get their blessing to like have you on the pod. Will be the biggest pain in my ass ever.
For you only too.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad to hear you're enjoying a hoop session. I haven't been able to play in a while, and I shoot around every once in a while. I've come to learn that my left hand is probably better than my right hand.
Oh, that's interesting. You're gonna have to come out to Roxborough as we can hoop a little bit, man.
Yeah, I'm like the inverse Ben, if you will. Like shoots lefty, but is really better righty. I've slowly come to that realization that I've probably been playing with the wrong hand most of my life.
That's actually pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's weird. But I write with my right hand, but I throw and I shoot lefty. Or not. Well, I go back and forth between shooting lefty and righty, but I throw with my left hand, which is odd. But
maybe you're just ambidextrous, bro. You're just ambidextrous.
Man of many skills. Now, so Kai, we are in a Monday. As we said, the free agency begins an hour and now 11 minutes. But we're going to go into the draft first. They take Jaden Springer. There are some reports from our mutual colleague and friend, Keith Pompey, that the Grizzlies were going to take him with the 17th pick. First, what did you think of the draft? Because I thought it was really boring.
As an overall standpoint, it was cool to see the first couple picks. Being from Michigan, a lot of my friends texted me in celebration when Detroit selected Cade Cunningham. My friends back home are very, very excited about him and their future out there. But yeah, overall, I thought the draft. I don't know. For some reason, I didn't really have that excited feeling like throughout this entire draft. I was just like, what? I was like, all right, come on, let's just kind of get this over with. It was just kind of weird. I will admit that. In terms of Philly, I'm actually surprised that they made every single pick. Yeah. Like 100% surprised. I didn't think they would do that.
Yeah, I thought for sure they were going to trade Ben because they had purchased the pick from the Pelicans, and that in itself is typically an unusual thing for them to do, is to purchase a pick instead of sell a pick. So they bought a pick, and they actually used that pick. I thought they were going to use that as part of a bigger package elsewhere. especially with Jason Dumas or Dumas. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he said that they were trying to trade Ben that night. Obviously, the deal didn't materialize, and truthfully, I'm okay with that because, and I'm trying to impress this upon a lot of people that you can't just give Ben away and lose the deal. You can't lose the deal because he's your last major trade chip, and once you trade him, you're basically looking at future first round picks, which can only take you so far, and you're looking at what? Joel, and that would really be your, Tyrese,
Right.
like Ben's your last big trade chip, so you can't lose that deal. And so, if they don't find the right the right package for him, okay, you know what, the fans won't like it, but you bring him back. You bring him back, and you try to play through it, and get things back to a good spot. I mean, truth be told, if we're being 100% honest with ourselves, like a lot of people would like to have their worst case scenario be that Ben Simmons comes back. like that's not a bad scenario. Now,
No, it's not, and I agree with you. I still think Ben gets traded before opening night. I still think they're going to figure something out.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you wholeheartedly in the fact that you don't just give him away for nothing. You have to get equal value. But the thing is, though, Austin, I kind of ask you, though, like, what's really truly Ben's value? Because you and I both know how talented he is. But I feel like teams are looking at his postseason numbers, and it's like, man, you have come up short when the time matters most every single time. First it was Boston, then Toronto, now Atlanta. It's like, bro, I mean, like, at some point, are you really adding to your game or not? Because other than his defensive performances, Austin, he's an elite defender. He's really kind of been the same player on offense ever since he came into the league. Like, what has he really added?
Yeah. I agree. But I also think that, like, this is basically selling a stock or buying a stock at its lowest point, right?
Right.
I mean, it's like teams are hoping.
High, yeah. All right.
Teams are hoping that Ben Simmons' value gets this low because they're thinking, well, shit, if we can rehab him and get him right, it's a franchise cornerstone right there, and we got him for cheap. So, like you have to hold out. You have to hold out.
That's the risk. That's the risk. That's the risk that you just mentioned. Because if Philly trades him and they don't get like equal value for him, then all of a sudden Ben goes off and becomes a player that everybody thinks that he can become, and all of a sudden the Sixers are sitting there looking like a bunch of jackasses. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's kind of the risk in this situation whenever it comes to Ben. So yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you, but I do think that he's going to be moved for opening night. Like, I feel like they're going to figure something out there.
Okay, well, let's bring it back into the draft because that's where we started, and we kind of.
This is true.
So, first, congratulations on Cade Cunningham. Your Pistons are trending in the right direction here. You got you got Cade, you got Sadiq, you got Isaiah
Stewart. I still like Killian Hayes too. I still like Killian Hayes.
Killian Hayes, yes. It's a very Jeremy Grant. It's a very nice young core. So that team is going to be much improved next year. You get one more lottery pick, you're right in business. You're right.
Listen, I want them to lose still next year. I'm still not all in on let's try to make the play-in tournament. No, I want them to lose one more year and then think about winning the year after that. Yeah.
I think they're going to be. I think 3 or 4 years from now they're going to be a good team.
I think they are too. I like Dwayne Casey too, kind of with younger teams. I don't know if I really like Dwayne Casey, kind of like with a veteran team, because it's like I feel like Casey does his best work when it comes to developing, not when a team is ready to win. And I feel like we saw that with Toronto as an example. As soon as Casey leaves, they hire Nick Nurse. And sure, they brought in Kawhi Leonard. That makes a huge freaking difference. But Toronto goes on to win a title. So I feel like Casey's kind of in a good spot right now when it comes to developing younger guys. And I feel like Detroit, is a good position for him.
Yeah, I agree. But they're going to have to start. They're going to, you'll have that 1 window buffer or 1 year buffer where you can rebuild still and go through the pains. But Cade is what, 3-year deal, 4-year deal for a rookie?
I think so. I think it's 4.
Okay, so that means you have really 2 or 3 years to really put a winning product out there, or else he's going to say,
Right.
Detroit's a small market.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to work fast, but you're in the right direction there.
Oh, for sure.
Let's take it to the Sixers now. They draft they draft Jaden Springer, 28th overall. Were you surprised by not just that they drafted, period, but were you surprised by that selection?
Kind of, but also at the same time, not really, because I understand that, they love a guy who can be a 3-and-D. I know Daryl has his kind of really focused on guys like that, not just with Philadelphia in his short time here, but even during his time with Houston. Like, he would love the 3-and-D guys. I mean, PJ Tucker is a guy who comes to mind. Robert Covington is a guy that comes to mind that he acquired out in Houston. And I feel like, he's kind of going after the same type of mold here in Philly. And Springer is raw, though. Like, here's the thing, Austin. I know you and I talked about it the other day. The kid's 18. So he's going to need some time before he can really make a dent in, this team's rotation, especially the Sixers team is trying to contend for a title next year. So I love his ability as an on-ball defender. He actually, blocked Cade Cunningham in high school. Did you see that video that kind of got floated around on Twitter? Springer actually guarded Cunningham very well and rejected his shot when Cade tried to go up for a jumper. So I thought, his on-ball defensive skills are terrific. He did shoot 43.5% from deep as a freshman, but it was on a small sample size. He only took 1.8 threes a night. And I think I saw a stat courtesy of Derek Bodner where he only shot 28.2% on pull-up jumpers off the dribble, and he only shot 35.7% on catch-and-shoot shots. So there is a little bit of fool's gold there when it comes to the numbers. When you look at the raw numbers, I think I have to kind of go into the advanced stats a little bit. So Springer's going to be a good player, I feel like, but it's definitely going to take him some time to really become the player that the Sixers think they can get at 28 there.
Okay, I agree. I liked the idea of the pick. Obviously, I think he fills out the boxes that you're talking about. For Sixers fans that are thinking that he's going to come in here and be a rotation piece or even an asset, really, in day one, I got some news for you. He's not that guy.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me, you're not that
guy. I always think of that. That's a great video. He's not going to be that guy. He's just not. I'm still in my evaluation of him, but everything I see suggests that he loses control of the ball and he dribbles pretty easily. He is often overwhelmed offensively. His jumper, while he can make threes, low volume, which kind of dilutes really the conclusion there. It doesn't help that the fact that he did not shoot well inside the arc either, and his shot takes a long time to get up, and it kind of looks like it's a medicine ball above his head when he shoots it. So he's got some muscle to add. He's got to get some, he's got to add some skill there. But I do think there is something there to like. I think he's a pretty good on-ball defender. He tracks his man well off ball, which I think is pretty conducive to cheating passing lanes and getting out in transition and creating those opportunities. Really quick hands. So I think he'll be able to disrupt the ball handler pretty well. But it's going to take time. It's going to take time. Got to add a little bit of an offensive game. His favorite thing to do is do the spin move into the middle of the lane and then rise up for a ridiculous 16-footer that he will sometimes make, but it's like miraculous.
Right.
He's just a very raw kid. He's still very young, which I think is why he has the upside that he does, but got a long way to go until I think he's going to be a productive NBA player per se. Filip Petrusev, 50th pick in the draft.
I actually liked him at 50. But
I would be surprised if they ever see him in the NBA.
Really? You think so? I liked him at 50. I mean, because I looked up his Gonzaga numbers, and I didn't realize that he was actually the 2020 West Coast Conference Player of the Year with the Bulldogs. And then, he went back out to Serbia, and I think he averaged somewhere around 24 and 8 while shooting 41% from three in the Adriatic League. Granted, that's Europe. and we all know Europe is much different than the NBA and everything. But at 6'11", nice size, got a little bit of a shooting touch, has played in the States before for 2 years at Gonzaga, and he had some success. I feel like at some point, they'll bring him over here, and, we can really see what he can do on this level. I actually liked his game a lot. I didn't hear of him until they selected him, but once I kind of dove into the numbers and I saw some tape, I liked him. I was like, all right, I mean, you're going to get that at 50? That's solid. I like Petrushev.
The only reason I've heard of him is because when I would tune in for late night college basketball,
Right.
it'd be like Bill Walton saying his name in a very bizarre manner, and
Bill Walton,
calling him an Oregon man, even though he's not from Oregon at all.
Right.
So that's how I knew of him. I think his foot speed and his ability to stay in front defensively is a problem. Just because they're going to have to play him in drop, and it kind of just makes it difficult when you're in when to have versatility when you're in drop. And even then, you're giving up the mid-range, which is kind of what I get the sense teams are trying to go back to mid-range a little bit now. I feel like that's something that teams are a little bit more interested in now. Not just threes anymore, but we're kind of bringing the mid-range back a little bit. But you're going to be forfeiting that, and also you're already playing drop with Embiid a lot. Right. So you do want to have a little bit of a different look out there when Embiid's off the floor. I don't think he can switch. So really, what is he going to do? He's going to pop out and shoot threes. I just don't see a scenario where you're comfortable with him on the court. Now maybe they're rebuilding sooner than they have to, or that they would have thought they would have had to, and then they bring him over then. Which sure, maybe that happens, but I maybe I'm wrong. I don't see a value there.
I see it. I mean, the fact that at the end of the day, Austin, he is the 50th pick. Yeah. So it's like whatever you can get out of a late second round pick like that, it's kind of like found money. It's a diamond in the rough type of thing. I feel like it's the same thing with Bassey, Charles Bassey, the other pick at 53. Like both of these guys, I like their games on paper, and who knows, maybe Bassey could actually become something for the Sixers. He's probably going to have to become something for the Sixers right away, considering that they might lose Dwight Howard in free agency. But I feel like both Bassey and Petrushev, I like both their games. But as you mentioned, Austin, it's like Bassey's also slow on defense too. So you got the 50 and 53rd pick. Whatever you can get out of those two, you'll take it and you will run with it, and you will thank the good Lord you got something at a late second round pick.
I think Bassey is probably a little bit better of a rim protector, and I think
3.1 blocks a game.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I think he has a chance to pan out, at least if not quicker than Petrushev will. Obviously, the swing skill for him is going to be the jump shot. If he can learn how to stretch the floor and shoot a little better than he did in college, he'll be fine. Now, I will say that you should be careful in being like, well, they can just put him in the Dwight Howard spot, because that's something that I just think that's a lot of pressure on Joel, because if Bassey's a rookie making a lot of mistakes, you can't do it.
No, you can't. And I asked you this question now, though, leading into that, and I know we're still kind of talking about the draft, but what do you think the Sixers' chances are of getting maybe a guy like Kelly Olynyk? Do you think Olynyk has played out of Philadelphia's price range after he turned into, an MVP candidate with the Houston Rockets? I don't know.
He turned into Jalen Green's upside. So
right.
We'll get into that a little bit. But I wonder if they saw Dan Gafford in Washington and were like, damn, we think he can be this guy. We like that guy a lot. A menace on the glass, a really good rim runner type, good backup big. I wonder if they saw that. in Charles Bassey, and that was sort of like, oh, this could be a diamond. Let's get this guy.
Right. That could probably be it. I mean, Bassey, what did he shoot? I think he shot 30.5% from three last year with Western Kentucky. I think he took 2.1 threes a game, 2.4, something like that. So that was a career high with the Hilltoppers. And he mentioned in his post-draft press conference that in his pre-draft workout with Philadelphia, he was not knocking down threes. And that is what impressed the Sixers as a whole. And he was also mentioning that he's been working on adding that to his game. So if Bassey can become a three-point shooter, I think he stands at 6'11". That'll be a really huge thing for the Sixers because, as you mentioned, Austin, they have if they lose Dwight and they have to rely on Charles Bassey and they don't get a Dwight replacement in free agency or via a trade, wherever, then there's so much pressure on Joel to have to go out there and literally play all 82 games and probably play somewhere around 40 minutes a night because you can't throw Bassey out there for longer stretches. So he's another one, though. He's going to have a lot of development to do. I feel like Summer League is going to be very huge for him, for Springer. I know Petrozev, I don't think he's coming over for Summer League. But if Bassey and Springer, Summer League is going to be huge for the two of them moving forward. It's going to be absolutely huge.
Yeah, I agree. I don't want to say it's a lost rookie class, but I think it's kind of like you're not going to hear from these guys for probably until next season is what I would say. Maybe
I don't think so. I mean, and that's why it made no sense to not make a deal. Like I thought
the deal isn't there. The deal isn't there.
I mean, all right. How about this? I know you said the deal isn't there, and I agree with you. There was no deal to be made, but would you have hit up Orlando and be like, "Hey, give me Terrence Ross for the 28th pick," or something else?
Yeah, but if they say no, then what can you do?
I don't know. It's just like it made no sense to me for them to keep that pick. It just because, as you said, this is a championship team.
Also, you have to keep in mind
you need win now players. Is what I'm saying.
Right, but what if that salary also messes with your space and that prohibits you from doing something else? These are all things that you have to consider, and I think, just truth be told, they weren't satisfied with any of the offers that they had out there. I do believe that they shopped that pick extensively and just couldn't get anything that they wanted in return for it. Now, Ben Simmons stuff and the trades and the free agency. Let's start off with these. Well, first, tell you about our sponsor. Do you like shotgunning beer? Do you like
what a segue?
Do you want to increase your shotgunning time at parties? Check out my boys at the King Cobra. King Cobra is a shotgunning tool that makes the perfect shotgunning hole in under a second. Also a tab puller, vent puncher, and all fits on a keychain. For more information about the King Cobra, you can check them out on Instagram at the King Cobra Co. That's the King Cobra Co. And Cobra is spelled with a K. For a 10% discount on all products, enter the code TrustTheCobra10, all caps, all one word. Pick up yours today. So we go to the trade stuff now, and it feels like every third day or so there's a new Woj report that is basically saying they're this and they're that and they're getting closer here and whatnot. I don't know what in step with means. I don't really understand what they mean by in step with. I guess it's a way of saying yes, we agree a trade would be for the best. I've heard some people I've heard some people interpret that as get me the hell out of here. Right. I don't see it that way at all. I see it as, in fact, I would say that Ben, believe it or not, would actually like to return to the Sixers. I think if he had the option, he would elect to be back. I know it sounds crazy to say, but I do believe that. Now, obviously, there would have to be some smoothing over to do, and some PR stuff they'd have to do right. But I think the deal that they want just simply has not materialized yet, and they have to act with a sense of strength and from a position of power. And I feel like there's a way to play this where you can say something along the lines of, "Oh, we're not gonna take that's a horseshit offer. Like, sorry, we're not interested in that." If you make it seem like you're trying to get off Ben Simmons, and instead of treating it like, no, this guy is very much so an asset to your team, and you should be thankful to have an opportunity to trade for him, I feel like you can maybe sell his value a little a little better than what it appears to be right now.
Well, because at the end of the day, Ben Simmons is still a top 25 player in this game.
There we go.
It doesn't matter. Like, Ben is still, for all of his offensive flaws, for all of his clear shortcomings on that end of the floor, Ben is still a top 25 player, and there are still a lot of things that he does out on the floor. An elite defender, 3-time All-Star, 2-time All-Defensive First Team member. He was an All-NBA member in 2020. I think he made the third team that year. So there's just a lot that this guy can do out on the basketball floor. So to your point, Austin, two points that you made stood out to me. I don't think it's crazy to say Ben wants to come back to Philadelphia. I don't think it's crazy to say that. I think he wants to try to come back here and maybe try again and try to prove that, he's over the 2021 playoff struggles. So I can definitely buy that. Secondly, though, the fact that he's even available, and like, teams should be treating this as a golden opportunity to add a young 25-year-old star in this game already. And they should be treating it as such. So that's another one I completely 100% agree with you with. I still am on the hill that they will trade him before opening night.
Yeah,
I am going to die on that hill. So, but I believe that some team is going to step up and be like, some team's going to get real desperate and just love the idea of having a franchise cornerstone at 25 on their team. And part of me, though, does also believe Ben could use a change of scenery. Like, even though he probably wants to come back to Philly, I think he probably could use a change of scenery and just start again. I feel like Ben Austin could definitely survive in a smaller market.
Yeah.
And a smaller market where there's not as much pressure to go out and win. There's not all this, all this media attention. Because as we both know, every day in this city, why won't Ben take a jump shot? Why won't Ben knock down free throws? It's the same thing here every single day. So, if he went to a smaller market team, I feel like he'd be able to thrive a little bit easier.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I just think, like, you can't listen to the fans. Like, the fan base, like
it's not just the fans; it's the radio host too. It's me. I say it.
It's all of us. Well, not me. I tend to think I view Ben pretty fairly. I think you for the most part view him pretty fairly too. But I just think, like, people were selling him as like this guy. Like would you even trade Andrew Wiggins for the guy?
I wouldn't.
You.
I don't like Andrew Wiggins, though.
The team that receives Ben Simmons for Andrew Wiggins is going to be very happy. Very, very, very happy.
Yeah. Trading Wiggins for Simmons. I would totally do that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I don't like Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah. So Ben's an earlier player. He had a tough playoff. He's a very good regular season player who is going to help get you to a playoff seed that gives you a chance in a first round series. You need to have the players around him to get you to pass the second round.
Right.
And I think it's fair because, like, no one can do it. No, like, really, we don't really see teams do it by themselves anymore. Like, Giannis had 2-star level, 1-star level player, and another very high level top of the rotation guy. LeBron had AD.
Right.
It doesn't happen alone anymore. So you need that second guy anyway. I mean, you need that first guy anyway. And the bottom line is that max, like you're talking about paying John Collins a max deal here. Max deal is not an indication of your stardom. It denotes that you are one of the best players at your position, and that's how this is all taken care of anyway. This isn't about like what your stats say you're worth or whatnot. This is about measuring the market and surveying the market and saying, well, I think I can get this, and I think I'm worth this. That's right. What this is all about. So the max contract thing to me, it's just a product of the salary cap being what it is, and the timing of the contract being offered and signed, more so than anything else.
Right.
Now, I am very aware of how bad he was in the playoffs. It does not mean
he was atrocious.
I would still take Ben Simmons coming back and you finding another way to figure it out, over trading him for like your 3-day-old tuna sandwich and that you have in the back of your refrigerator. Like, I'm sorry, I would. I know fans don't like him. It's going to be a very difficult experience for him. However, it's something he could have avoided by just working on his game and working on himself and getting better both inside and outside. And that's just the bottom line. So I if the deal isn't there, I wouldn't do the trade. Now, that being said, the guys I would trade him for, someone brought up to me, I forget who it was, but this is just like a fan saying this.
Right.
Would you trade Ben for like Kemba Walker? No, don't think about that. No.
Not Kemba Walker now. I mean, Charlotte Kemba Walker I would have, but like, no, not Kemba Walker now. You know what's crazy? Because here's the thing. Kemba used to be so damn good, and then he got hit with an injury that affected his speed. And for a guy who is as small as he is, he who relies solely on speed to score on the offensive end, he doesn't have it anymore. So I feel like Kemba can still be a good player, but he's nowhere near the all-star level he was with Charlotte. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why Boston was like, dude, we got to get you out of here. He was in Boston for what, 2 years? That's it? Did he make an all-star team last year? Did he make one in 2020 with Boston?
I think he made it 2020, not 2021.
Right. Man, because I thought he had some good moments in the 2020 playoffs. But I thought he was bad in the Eastern Conference Finals against Miami. And
he's a small guard who is generally a shooting guard, really, when you think about it. And his body's a lot of wear and tear. His knees are bad. You can't trade Ben Simmons for that. That would be an egregious loss of a trade.
That would be front office malpractice.
That would be fire-worthy. You'd have to consider firing Daryl for that.
Yeah, that would be front office malpractice. Yeah, that's something I don't think I could even think about. Like,
yeah, you can't do that. Now,
Oklahoma City would be a great fit for him, though, for Ben.
Would you do Ben for SGA?
See, I don't think so either, because I love SGA's game, man. I really love SGA's game. But is SGA a cornerstone, or is he just a really good role player? That's the question you have to ask.
I mean, he's a better scorer than Ben, and I think Ben is better than everything else.
Austin, I'm a better scorer than Ben.
Well,
like, no, I'm playing. But like the big thing is,
everyone says that. I could out you Ben Simmons. Like, I guarantee you, if you sat in the park with Ben Simmons, he would outshoot you in any way you asked him to. You put a spot in the court, he would shoot you apart. Not just you. Anybody.
Knock down threes like he's Steph Curry. I have seen Ben in practice, like after practice, of shooting around, knock down threes. Like, it is easy. It is so easy. And then for some reason, he just won't bring it out in the game. Even though the couple threes that he's actually made, Austin, they look pretty good. It's not like his shooting stroke is trash. He won't shoot it.
Yeah.
And I think that comes down to a mental thing. I think mentally he just won't. I just think there's a block there that he can't do it, and you can't do that in Philadelphia. You can do that in Oklahoma City or Orlando or some place where it's just like, oh, it's a small market team. You can't do that in Philly. You can't do that here. You'll get killed.
The irony being that like Philly is basically treated like a small market team anyway.
No.
I mean, we'll get into this later, but like look at free agency. They've been quiet. We'll get
because they don't have any money, Austin. They don't have any money.
I think. Well, no, they don't have money. You're right, but they can maneuver things. And it doesn't. How many teams don't have money that end up making noise and making moves? Like that's a bullshit reason.
Well, for me, if you're going to refer to Miami, because I know Miami never has any money any year. I feel like Pat Riley is just like ruthless like that, to where he's just kind of like, all right, I'm getting rid of you, and you. You're gone in order for me to get this one guy. Like, I feel like he's already doing that with Kyle Lowry. Like, I saw.
By the way,
speaking of Toronto, you're going to give up Lowry for Goran Dragic and Precious Achiuwa? Really? Like, that's what you're going to settle for? What did Philly offer them? Thibault, Maxey, picks for Lowry?
This is what I heard, and you know what? We'll get into that now because it's really like what it's coming down to. Because obviously, we don't think the best. I mean, Damon Beal is what.
I don't think either of them get moved.
It's what Daryl's waiting for. That's what he's trying to cash his chip in on, and it's the right move. It's smart.
It is. I don't think either of them get moved. I feel like both of them are just real loyal to their organizations.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna. At least not this offseason.
Yeah. I don't think so.
So that's sort of where I am now. I'll say this regarding Lowry at the deadline. I heard that the offer was, I think it was Maxey, Danny.
Well, Danny would have been rerouted to Golden State.
Yes, that's 100% correct. And he was expecting it too. He was 100% expecting to be traded to Golden State. But Danny, Maxey, picks, and like whatever, and then Masai Ujiri said we want Thibault too, and then we can do it. And Morey was like, I'm not giving up Thibault. Like, that's just not happening. And Masai, then he countered with like multiple additional picks instead of Thibault. And in that case, Masai was like, nope, I'm good. We'll leave that we'll leave that be. So that didn't happen. I think Morey was right to not let that trade go through. I think he was right to not.
And all, but the fact that Toronto would turn even that down, even without Thibault, and they're going to settle for a Dragic and Achiuwa, is like, really?
This is what I think's happening. I would be surprised by this, but I think they're in on Lowry. I still think they're in on Lowry.
That's fine. Philly can still be in on Lowry, but if Kyle wants to go play with Jimmy Butler, apparently, according to Woj, Lowry's been trying to play with Butler for the past 2 or 3 years or something like that.
How many times have we heard Woj like reiterate the same report, and then he ends up breaking something, the same player, but in the complete opposite direction?
That's fine.
Because those reporters are a vehicle of misrouting of rerouting information.
No, that's exactly what. That's actually, listen. That's our job. But yeah. I feel like, and here's the thing: if you want Lowry, you're going to have to give up Ben or Tobias.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. You have to give up one of them.
Are you going to give up a 25-year-old Ben for a 35-year-old Lowry?
Plus picks, I would say Lowry. I talked to Brian DePora, who's an excellent salary cap guy, and basically what we came up to is this: you can get Lowry without giving up Ben because you can sign and trade Danny. You can pick up George Hill's guarantee, bunch of picks.
But Danny wants to go to Miami.
I don't think he has a preference. In fact, I know he doesn't have a preference.
I mean, that was according to the Jake Fisher kid from Bleacher Report, but he put out a report that Danny prefers Miami.
He said he would like to go to Miami.
He has an interest in Miami. Same thing. Interest, prefer.
I don't think it's the same thing, but I would say that if Miami gets Lowry and if they get DeRozan or whatever, there's no way Danny can go to Miami.
Okay.
So he's basically, it's either going to be they get Lowry, they get DeRozan for the mid-level. That whole thing with DeRozan, the mid-level exception to me is bogus, because there's no way a guy in the middle of his prime should be accepting a mid-level.
I don't think so. I don't think he's going to do that either.
Yeah.
So, but do you see DeRozan going to LA and joining the Lakers, and that the team with no spacing would continue with
that shit is so fucking wild.
Think about that. We could see a Lakers.
He just threw Russ on the team, and they're like, oh, we'll be all right.
You know what? We also want DeMar DeRozan too, another one who doesn't shoot threes.
Which brings me back to this point. Sixers need DeRozan and Sexton.
No,
they do not need DeRozan because they already have a mid-range addict in Tobias Harris. They don't need DeRozan.
Yep.
Sexton would be interesting, but I'm not gonna. I probably am not ready to leverage Ben Simmons' value on Colin Sexton.
Yeah, absolutely not. No.
Now, I think Lowry's still in play.
Okay.
I also, these are my suspicions. I think they're probably in a good spot in terms of re-signing Danny, just because I think Miami was really the biggest threat there. I think they're going for Lowry and DeRozan and whatnot. JJ Redick.
Would you bring him back?
I would. Vet minimum deal?
I would too, just because, I mean, again, he's got such great – he's a great fit, obviously. And also he's got great chemistry with Joel Embiid and Ben. So, that's just – that would be a great addition. But you don't think maybe JJ would want to maybe go back to New York, like where he's from, and kind of be with his family, maybe go to Brooklyn maybe?
Well, yeah, but I think they want – I think Brooklyn has other – I mean, yes, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Also be using up a roster spot on something they just do not need at all. Like if they acquire, let's say they do the Dinwiddie sign and trade thing to Washington, and they get back Bertans.
Right.
That you then have you're then rostering. You still don't have a big man really, but you're rostering Joe Harris and Davis Bertans. You have you've excellent shooting gravity right there. You don't need JJ at 37, 38 years old.
JJ had a weird year. I mean, he's also getting older. Like, he had a weird year for the Pelicans, and then he spent some time in Dallas. Did he even play in the playoffs for Dallas? I don't think so, right?
No, he had an Achilles thing, not like a torn Achilles, but like a bursitis or some sort of thing in the Achilles where it was like a bone or some sort of inflammation. But I would bring him back on a minimum deal. I think Danny and his podcast was right. Like, I think it's number one, the money, right? Number two, winning organization or winning chance to win in a cool city. I think whichever team offers the most of that is pretty lucrative spot to be in. Brings me to my next point. NBA has to find a way to do something about the Nets getting everybody, the Lakers getting everybody, the Heat getting everybody.
Why?
Because think about how little parity there is anymore. It's like the same teams are rumored over and over and over again with every single guy, and it's becoming way too easy to just like we're gonna load up on talent and then have our son and then use our nice sun that we have in our beaches to lure this guy in. Rudy Gay to the Lakers now. Wayne Ellington to the Lakers now. Pretty soon you're gonna have like the remains of like a 1960s war vet to the Lakers now. It's a very odd, bizarre thing to reach for. I don't know why I went there, but the point remains. Everyone is now rumored to the Lakers, and Lakers because of the tools and the instruments that are the minimum contract and all that stuff. You can just say, well, hey, we'll give you the minimum. At least you're making money at all, and come play with the rest
for the LA Lakers. I get it, but I mean, like, I don't know if I can get on board with the whole, stop so-and-so team from signing everybody. Like, if you have the tools and you have the money, go out and do it. You know what I'm saying? Like if Philadelphia had the money and the tools to go out and do it. And it's just, I feel like it's the same thing with any team. So, and I feel like Miami is just like the Heat are a team that 2 years ago they were in the NBA Finals. A tough year. I contribute that to the fact that they had a short offseason and the fact that they got hit with a slew of injuries as well as COVID. It was the same thing, I feel like, with the Lakers, the Celtics, and then even Denver to a certain extent. Denver was just able to somehow beat Portland round one. But those four teams that finished 2020 in the bubble had a tough time. But Miami and the Lakers are attractive teams because not only are they in great spots, they've consistently been winning. You know what I'm saying? Like the Lakers and Heat, like the Lakers, other than that tough, obviously those tough like 6-7 years, Austin, the Lakers have been a consistent winner. So it's like they also have a history. The same thing goes for Miami. They have a history. Like if I'm a free agent, like why would I go to Detroit, for example, when I can go to Miami and be in the sun and then also be on a winner? So it's just you got to be able to have the tools and the money to do it. Like,
yeah, but I think there's a way of limiting that, so that way it's not like the same team just getting stocking up on these like mid 30s or late 30s.
how are you going to do it?
What?
How are you going to do it?
You can say like we're gonna put an embargo or something on this.
That's lame. I'm sorry. That just sounds really lame.
I mean, as a Pistons fan, would you like to have more guys rumored to the Pistons or more guys going to the Pistons?
Real quick, the summer league roster for the Sixers has been announced. Philip Petrusev will be on the roster, along with Springer and Bassie, and then Maxey, Joe, and Reed are also going to be out there. So good for them. That's definitely good that they can get Petrusev out there. But anyway, Austin, like, no, I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. Like the whole let's put an embargo on it just sounds really lame to me. Like the idea just sounds like come on. If they got the tools, go out and do it.
I think it's
the same thing with Golden State. Like when Golden State was winning, 4 or 5 years in a row, it was just kind of like, yeah, that sucks that they added Kevin Durant to Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. But guess what? They had the money to go do it. So I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that there are ways that you can do it where you're like, all right, we need to break up parity. You can only have 2 veteran minimum guys. You can only have I mean, I don't give a shit about the rumors, but the actual signings are annoying. Like it's the same teams getting and monopolizing free agency over and over again. It always is. And the other teams that get guys, it's only because they get shut out from the bigger teams. So if you say like you only 2 minimum guys.
Okay.
I think that's something you can do.
Still think that sounds a little lame. I can't lie with you. It does. It just sounds like
sure, you can think it's lame, but I think there's an issue of parity. Like Russell Westbrook just decides one day it wasn't one day, but it gets to just go to the Lakers. Like, okay,
First of all, that's a bad fit. You know what I'm saying? Like, who cares? Like, who cares?
It's still a talent parity. It is.
No, I don't know. I feel like any team can be beaten.
I don't know. I disagree. I think it's an issue that has a resolution. You just have to kind of.
Did you think Milwaukee would beat Brooklyn?
Well,
now granted, Brooklyn was hurt, obviously, but did you think?
I mean, if Brooklyn wasn't hurt, they wouldn't have lost.
I don't know. They could have. Brooklyn really wasn't really playing all that well outside of KD.
Yeah. Also, and this is sort of like the Vin Fosh thing that drives Sixers Twitter mad during this time of the year. There are way too many people who claim to have sources. Way too many people. This year, the rumors have run absolutely rampant. It's out of control.
I'll agree with that.
It's Jolly Rants. Austin Krell is a weirdo.
I like it. I like it.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, Jolly Rants. I am indeed a weirdo. That's true.
Christian Winfield of the New York Daily News is reporting that the Hornets, Pelicans, and Bulls are discussing a 3-team deal that would send Devontae Graham to Pelicans, Lonzo Ball to Chicago, and Lauri Markkanen to Charlotte.
I like that. I like that.
Solid.
I want to put this. I want to put this in the museum. Austin Krell is a weirdo. That's
hang that up in the what's it called, the Lefeur or whatever it is. Like
the I don't even know. But yeah. I'm gonna take a picture of this comment because I want to keep it for future reference, and then probably make it my Twitter banner because I think it's hilarious.
I like it.
I don't even deny it. I agree. I am a weirdo, but I also am tired of seeing the same 3 teams linked to every fucking player on the market. Like, I'm sorry. It's probably a guy whose favorite team is one of those teams, and he likes to, he gets off to it, which is whatever. Now, Kai, what is your big free agency prediction for the Sixers?
Honestly, don't even have one. I mean, I know there are like really 3 guys that I would kind of look at from Philly. One is Malik Monk. I mean, what did he shoot? I think he's at 40.1% from deep for Charlotte last year, and he broke out. And you could make the case that he only did that because he was in a contract year. And, there's always that contract year thing. But Monk is a guy I like. I love Olynyk. Like, if you can go out and somehow get Olynyk here, he'd be a really good addition. And the other one's Patty Mills. But I know the Lakers are in Patty Mills because they're obviously shooting around Braun, Russ, and Davis. So, I don't know. Like, those are kind of the 3 guys I like. I believe you that they're going to be on Lowry, but I don't think they get him. That's just me. Because he's also 35 years old. Like, that's always, like, the biggest thing, too. Like, and let's just say you sign and trade Danny Green to them and keep Ben. Then do you move Ben officially finally off the ball? Do you do that? And let's put the ball in Lowry's hands.
Yeah, I mean, I think – well, no, I know this to be the case. People want to, like, get bogged down in, like, oh, it's the most dramatic, embarrassing, awful collapse ever. The guy shot 30-something% in the video, and I get all that. They also almost won the series despite of it. So I just feel like it's an issue that if you make a minor adjustment, a minor change, you can get past that checkpoint that you have had issues with in the past.
I don't think it's a physical thing though, Austin. I think it's mental.
No, I agree with what I'm saying. You add a minor piece to the roster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like it doesn't have to be Kyle Lowry. It has to be a guy that like a Will Barton type or something of that variety where it's somebody that it just specializes in buckets off the bench and or shot creation. And even if it's a guy that's like not a closer, you're still going to be just by that guy's raw instinct and ability and talent for getting to the lane or creating shots off the dribble. Somebody is going to get a look out of it. That's just how shot creation works.
No, I agree. But
yeah,
like the way I see it is though, it's like if you keep Ben, you're going to have to. He is going to have to add to his offensive game. He is going to. Like he can't come back still the same player on offense.
Yeah.
If he comes back the same player on offense, then you have to move at the deadline. Like the deadline would kind of be like the end all be all of Ben Simmons here because you can't go into the playoffs again with him struggling from the free throw line and him still struggling to even attempt a jump shot because we've all seen this story in 2018, 19, 21. It's like it's the same story over and over again. So
yeah. I don't know. I just feel like, oh yeah, no, I agree with you on that. And I think if they don't make any kind of like real upgrades to the roster and don't get better in the areas they need to, and this is going to be like a revelation for me, but really it's like it isn't breaking news to anybody. They're not going to remain where they were or like afloat like they did last year. They're going to take a pretty significant step back. The Heat, whether they get Kyle Lowry or not, are going are going to be better because they're healthy. The Nets are going to be better. The Bucks are probably going to be
like the Bucks are the defending champs, and they're probably going to add to that roster still.
The Celtics are going to be better.
I agree.
You know,
and then you got the Knicks. You got the Knicks too. Like
the Hawks. The Hawks
are another team. The Hawks just made the Eastern Conference Finals, and it's like Philadelphia. If there was one chance for the Sixers to do it, it was this year, and they couldn't do it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So they need to make a significant move, and if not, if they fail, you have a very nice column on Daryl Morey coming out. You can
Yep.
All right, Kai. Last question for you today. What is it like being verified? It feels good, doesn't it? You can't lie. You can't lie. You know it feels good.
It is cool. I can't lie. It is. It's pretty cool.
When I go somewhere, I'm thinking like, damn, I feel like I'm important, even though I'm not at all.
No, it's just like it's kind of cool. Like I've noticed I get more engagement on Twitter now that I have a blue check mark than I did before. So
right. I'm telling you.
It's pretty cool. I will admit that. I'm not going to sit here and act like it's the greatest thing in the world, but it is like a kind of like a cool thing to log on to Twitter and you see the blue check mark next to your name. I will say that.
Yeah. All right. He is Kai Carlin. He writes about the Sixers for the Sixers Wire. I am Austin Krell. I write about the Sixers for the Painted Lions. Find us at Twitter at Kai Carlin at NBA Krell. As always, Kai. It's always great having you on. We have a good time here when we relitigate everything we've ever done in life and every thought we've ever had about the Sixers. I'm sure I'll see you soon in a Zoom near you very soon.
Probably.
Yeah. So everybody take care. Enjoy the opening hours of free agency. Buckle up. It's going to be a wild night. We are out of here.